What's going on, ladies and gents? Jake, a.k.a. Countdown Ended, bringing you the next episode of Guilty, or Guilt-Free. And of course, you know that means I'm not alone. The man, the myth, the legend, judge, jury, and executioner himself, Cody Oneidi, 316, is back. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on? Can't wait to get into this episode with CM Punk and WWE. I want to see if WWE is guilty or guilt-free of CM Punk's booking since he's returned.
That's right. So I am very, very excited to go over, 2023 to present, the booking of CM Punk. Has WWE done right by CM Punk? Is that a fact or is it fiction? Are they guilty or are they guilt-free? They've not handled everybody quite so great lately. A lot of Karrion Kross and Chad Gable names being thrown around. A lot of people are saying...
A lot of people that they re-signed haven't been booked the best either. Like Andrade, for example. I know he's not on the level of CM Punk, obviously, just to compare.
But no,
there's
certainly...
people that came from AEW haven't been booked the best.
No, and it's not just from AEW, because you look Ricky Starks and Ethan Page, they've done very, very well in NXT. It's just kind of the issue is
more main roster.
There's a lack of availability, I want to say, even though they have 6 hours of programming a week, sometimes less, a little bit more, whatever, but it's a lot, and they certainly have the time for people, and not everybody gets their minutes in, so it certainly is a bit disconcerting. But here we are again talking about CM Punk, because the summer of Punk is ongoing. People are calling Punk a hypocrite, but yet he said he would follow John Cena to hell. He would follow him everywhere because he would do anything to prove that he is better than John Cena. That's right.
Because I don't think it's being a hypocrite, because if you're looking at it, CM Punk said he has to also become a monster, so he has to also go against his morals and what he stands for to take down John Cena, and that's his main goal at the end of the day.
Exactly.
John Cena did the great heel move of saying you have to follow me to Saudi Arabia.
Night of Champions.
Like that place, so they brought real life into the storyline, which is great. And I don't think this makes CM Punk a hypocrite. You just have to. If you really want this, you have to do some things you don't like sometimes.
Saturday, June 28, 2025. We will be live for the review. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. Night of Champions begins, and our review will probably be around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. John Cena, CM Punk for the undisputed WWE Championship. One more time. What happens? It seems like Cody might win. King of the Ring. It could be Randy Orton, but either which way, it's going to be a hot SummerSlam Night 2 main event, that's for certain. But here we are back on Guilty and Guilt-Free, discussing ye old favorite CM Punk. And Mr. Cookie Monster, he went ahead and he made his return at Survivor Series. You heard the pop there.
Triumphant return. Yeah, that was fucking great, because all the dirt sheets, Sean Ross Sapp, etc., were saying it's not happening. It's definitely not happening.
I mean, CM Punk's last words to Tony Khan was, "You're a fucking clown, I quit." And that's when he said they're not a real business, they're not about making money. And he went on to claim that no one from AEW had spoken to him in 6 months after the altercation of All Out in September 2022. And he was forced to pay for his own surgery, do his own recovery. And that's when he was let go. They eventually did show the backstage footage on AEW where he goozled Jack Perry. And it was at this time where, Punk was, he was basically barely a free agent. Basically, he was just free from his contract. And it was only a few days out. They're in Chicago at the Metropolitan Arena. And he makes a big surprise return at Survivor Series War Games. And
this isn't the only time he talked to WWE, because remember when he was still under AEW contract, he was spotted backstage. Bailey brought him there or something, if you remember, but he was asked to leave. I think by Vince.
Yes, he was asked to leave, knowing the implications there for him working for the other company.
And I
Vince,
think CM Punk intentionally did that because I think he was trying to get himself fired from maybe
Vince is a smart man. That, he knows is legal. I'll say that. Punk got one of the loudest pops, desk pop, one of the loudest pops of all time, and he immediately signed with the Raw brand. It was back December 11, 2023. So at that Survivor Series War Games PLE in Chicago, when he made his return, we saw fan footage of Seth Rollins freaking out. Drew McIntyre walked out. It was all this crazy real-life blending with heat, because they didn't know he was returning till his music hit. They weren't told. I mean, you don't know how much is kayfabe, how much isn't, but it was really cool to see the backstage footage, because Punk came in seconds before he was to be revealed to the world that they bring him to the arena. So it really was like, okay, he didn't even see anybody before. He was like, they're like, you have to go between the cages, stand between the cages. You'll see him. There's 2 cages. Like, they told him where to go. Like, he had no idea. They just marched him out there. That's how second this was.
From what WWE said, I believe Randy Orton was like the only one that really knew, because Triple H had to kind of warn him, like, just to let you know, Punk's coming back, because he didn't want him to not like get his return in, So Randy Orton had to be prepared to get his celebration out of the way of returning. So yeah. I think Randy Orton was the only one that knew Punk was coming back.
And he was like, God damn it, really? But he enjoyed it. They mended old wounds later on, and that was great to see. He got him with a GTS, a little rough. He bitched backstage, and the rest is history. But besides taking on Dirty Dom in the Holiday Live Tour at MSG being his real first match, Punk, his first booking is for the Royal Rumble. Now, January 27, 2024, Royal Rumble, Punk wrestles his first match since 2014, last working the Royal Rumble. Ironic enough, he enters number 27 in the Royal Rumble match. He's the runner-up after being eliminated by Cody Rhodes. That's right. We go ahead and get Cody. He goes ahead and he gets the victory to go and face Roman Reigns. But in the match, Drew McIntyre goes ahead and delivers a Future Shock DDT to Mr. CM Punk. And the chick magnet himself tears his right tricep. He's unable to complete at WrestleMania 40. Thus, this cancels the plan of the match between him and World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins.
Because I believe at that point of time, he was going to win like the Elimination Chamber, right?
Yes, he was. And that was the plan. So he was not planning to win the Rumble. It was always going to be Cody. Some people thought because he got injured, they changed it. But no, I guess they just changed a little bit of the ending. I could see that conspiracy there because of the whole Cody Rhodes storyline with Rock, Roman, and Seth and all that happened. But that's for another day. They could not have known he was going to get injured here. And WWE had this booked very well. He looked pretty dominant, and he looked like he had no real ring rust at all. I would say WWE is not guilty. Triple H's first booking of CM Punk here is a not guilty verdict from me. How about you?
Say that again. Sorry.
It's a not guilty verdict from me, because I think Triple H booking him at the Rumble really was handled very well. How they made that his first televised match. It was smart, shades of when he left.
Yeah, I think it's not guilty as well, because he had him in the final 2 of the Rumble, and Cody Rhodes was always the plan even before CM Punk returned. So
you and I agree.
Had his different path to WrestleMania when he was supposed to have his match before he got injured. So yes, I agree.
Absolutely. So not guilty. We agree. Now they turned lemons into lemonade and shit into somehow, delicious salad. And we all love some shit salad, don't we, folks? Right? We go ahead and they turn this into a storyline between Punk and Drew, where basically Drew continuously mocks Punk online, in person, saying that he prayed for this to happen to him. He hates him. with such a furious passion. And, you know, he deserved this. Drew goes on to win the Chamber, and now he's going to take on CM Punk at WrestleMania 40 in April. So, this match is kind of a bit of a wild card in itself because CM Punk is on commentary. To this point, they've included CM Punk in the booking and build to this match. They've kept the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud very much so alive without overshining him and Seth, because Seth is also involved in the main event scene with Cody Rhodes. Seth and Cody lost the night before to The Rock and Roman, the final boss, pinning Cody 1, 2, 3. And we go ahead and we see the next night, Seth, he's just a little worse for wear, couldn't keep up. Drew is our new World Heavyweight Champion, but only for a few minutes, because CM Punk strikes when Drew decides to flaunt his title win in Punk's face. Punk attacks him with the arm brace, knocking him out, and that's when Damian Priest cashes in his Money in the Bank contract and wins the World Heavyweight Championship that Drew had just won. He takes it, steals it from him, and now Drew hates Punk even more.
That was a great segment because Drew McIntyre couldn't get enough of himself to show how obsessed he was with CM Punk. He started taunting him at the announce table, and then CM Punk's like, "Oh yeah, bitch." Then
he was more worried about sending out posts from his phone than he was about, you know, Punk attacking him when he knows what Punk's going to do. Of course you knew the man in the suit was going to strike.
CM Punk warned him
many times on the way to that match.
Being champion. So whoever won that match between Seth and Drew, you knew CM Punk was going to fuck one of them over.
No, you are absolutely right. I would say this, indeed, is another not guilty, as WWE handled the booking here perfectly. They allowed CM Punk to still be the star that he is, interfere in the title change, essentially, and be the catalyst to cause that cataclysmic event to happen. It was a great cash-in. That the live crowd loved the reception of Judgment Day coming out and celebrating with Damian Priest. It was a special moment all around. 2 title changes back to back. The WrestleMania 40 is a stellar event, and night 2 just started off with a bang with this, certainly. So, again, not guilty. Then they allow Punk to continue with his feud verbally with Damian Priest, and eventually, you know, the Clash at the Castle Scotland match comes in, where McIntyre, he's in his home country in June, and CM Punk ends up interfering in the match and costing him the title, and it was great. Even at Money in the Bank,
big pop there too.
He got a huge pop. Being there as being great. There to attack and be the surprise for the ref moment, that was great. And at Money in the Bank in July, you know, McIntyre attempted to cash in after winning the ladder match, and Punk, you know, he basically kept that from happening. You know, it was his decree to keep him from ever gaining that title. So now the booking was set. They were going to face each other eventually in a trilogy of matches, but for the first of which at SummerSlam. And it ends up being shades of WrestleMania 40 all over again. Huh, my friend? Because they have Seth Rollins as the special guest referee, and they essentially saying no referee could contain these two, so they needed a special enforcer. Seth, as flamboyant as a heel as ever, really goes ahead and has his special referee outfit and his big dumb shoes, goes ahead and gets involved in the finish, but Punk loses here to McIntyre, surprisingly. Drew stands tall at SummerSlam. I still say this was a hit. The way that they involved Rollins, so he still had something to do at the biggest party of the summer. On top of,
it was fucking amazing. This whole thing was fucking great.
It was absolute cinema at times what these two were producing. The story developing into that of the bracelet that really helped boost this story. You know, we saw Drew initially steal Punk's bracelet that his wife made for him that had both his dog Larry and his wife's AJ's name on it. And eventually the bracelet was, used for revenge. But at this point, Drew had it in his hands, and literally and figuratively. I say WWE, with their SummerSlam plan and knowing that this was going to turn into a trilogy, seeing Punk lose here was a bit disappointing, but we knew this was not going to be their only outing. So I was excited. I understood why Drew had to win. I say they're not guilty yet again. Oh, I'm going to be called a mark.
I'm probably going to be called a mark as well because I say they aren't guilty.
Oh, boy. You and I are racking them up. We are indeed. So we head into the Bash of Berlin. Strap match. Punk, Drew. And they beat the hell out of each other. They whip each other. They strap in and beat the living snot out of each other. But in the end, Punk reigns supreme, tapping the four corners to win. Now they are 1-1. I say this booking was inevitable, but not really can be viewed on its own because it's part 2 of a 3, because we know that there's going to be a rubber match, a necessary conclusion. You know, this was the penultimate. So what really mattered was Atlanta. Liz was there. She had the great seat to see. Bad Blood. Hell in a Cell. And these two redefined what a Hell in a Cell match really, really meant. 10 months of a feud happening between injury and rivalry and deception and pain. They have attacked each other and laid each other out. They have beaten each other down. It led to this crazy stipulation being revived. Supposed to be the main event until Rock shows up and decides he wants to come out for reasons we still don't quite understand, Final Boss. And the storyline, already receiving true critical acclaim, was at its fever pitch here. People could not have been more excited. This match gave us all that we desired and then some. Drew got busted open with a shot from the toolbox from CM Punk.
One of the best Hell in a Cell matches in recent memory. And absolutely. I could argue that it could be one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time.
Certainly up there. You know, and people always go to Foley and Undertaker, but that's not really a match. That's a spectacle. As far as matches go, this is probably the best Hell in a Cell match. I mean, even Undertaker and Shawn was more about Shawn getting his ass beat until Kane debuted, you know? So there, and think about how many bad Hell in a Cell matches we had. The Fiend getting DQ'd, you know? What about Lesnar showing up and wrecking shop, or a non-finish with Dean and Seth because of a freaking ghost appearing? Like we had it all, and this was stellar.
One of the other
the part with the steps. Matches. I'm sorry, the part with the steps will forever live rent-free in my memory. The pop for that sickening thud that Drew took when his back hit the corner. Oh my God. So brutal. This was incredible. This deserved all the acclaim that it got. WWE Triple H's Hall of Ek era continues to reign supreme in 2024. I give this again, God help us, not guilty.
And I'm right there with you because we might be marks, but we'll die as marks. Not guilty.
how could we not see it that way? I mean, they won Best Feud awards from Wrestling Observer and ESPN, PWI, Sports Illustrated, etc. On and on and on. Slammies. And Punk came out and said, I'm not going to Saudi. Peace. And didn't show back up until November, where he was the fifth man for Roman Reigns' Survivor Series War Games team.
Saudi, I don't think, right?
Would he? The hypocrite, right? Going to hell and back, as he said. So he said that he would do this, but Paul Heyman would owe him a favor. And speculation ran wild as to what the hell that would be. My God, remember how people had booked themselves into a frenzy, thinking that favor was going to get him to the main event of WrestleMania? Oh, wait.
Yes.
So, crazy how that works,
Which I
right?
was guilty of. Oh, guilty. Oh, yikes. But, I never thought, like, it could possibly happen, because what power does Heyman have in order for that to even be a thing?
That's what I always said. He's not a GM. He's not a matchmaker. What can he really do besides be an advocate? And that's always what he wanted. But, of course, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, both Usos, and Sami Zayn formed to be the GTS Bloodline, taking on Bloodline 2.0. Solo, Tama, Tonga, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu, and Big Bronson Reed in one hell of a War Games match where Punk ends up getting cut off by Roman at one point, and that got millions of views online. Eventually, Punk storms out, and that was a great moment. And then, we see Roman getting saved by Punk, which led to a delay in going to the table because Roman wasn't off it yet. So Bronson landed on his feet, and both of his ankles shattered. Oh, you poor bastard. He just returned now, but he's been out for about 9 months at this point. Oh, did that hurt? But great moment here. I loved him being added to this match, and I love them having him being owed a favor. Again, not guilty.
I would say not guilty as well. I know
they are on a winning streak. We are terrible DAs in this case. The jury is tainted. There might be a mistrial. We're going to have to be careful how we tread here. You and I. Too many pops. And, okay. You know what happens.
We'll try to be fair here. Let's go back to Money in the Bank for a second. Maybe the whole controversy of wasting the briefcase and stuff like that, you can say is guilty, so we can look a little clean here.
Okay, yes, because they did waste McIntyre. I will agree with the guilty verdict there. So there is one mark against them. Thank you, sir, for making the addendum to the record. I appreciate that being added, Judge Cody. So we now go to the Raw premiere on Netflix, January 6, 2025. Holy hell, does time fly. You blink and you miss it, folks. Time is inevitable, just like the dead man in taxes. So we end up on the debut where CM Punk is taking on his rival, Seth freaking Rollins. It is the match that was supposed to happen almost nearly a year before at WrestleMania, now happening here. We've seen them slightly start to cross paths again, and this built to a fever pitch. We end up getting this to be the main event of the Netflix premiere, which was a very good night. I do feel it was a bit casual heavy, but it was a good night. And this main event topped it off, which was very well received as well. Hell of a match.
This was one of the best matches, because you could say the show was kind of mid if you want to make an argument about that, but this match, if you want to say something saved the show, that match really did save the show.
This main event was beyond stellar. The GTS at the end, giving Seth a terrible bruise under his eye. The booking here, fantastic. Punk using this momentum to enter himself into the Royal Rumble. I love it. I love not guilty. Love how they're still handling CM Punk here. They're using him as a massive star who is a huge draw. This is important. It's being handled in a way where they're never undermining his aura, his presence, his package, if I dare say. Pause. Because they present him as top billing. You know, he's the guy, the main event. No matter what, he is going to be in the match. And
Exactly.
you know, it's basically it's a great way to handle him, because AEW, he kind of got lost in the shuffle, taking on, you know, Darby Allin. It was all right. That's a good first come, you know, back match. It's been 7 years. Let's see if you could still go, kind of thing. But then it was Eddie Kingston, and then, you know, kind of MJF. All right, that was really good, but MJF is still, he's not a champion. He's not even a mid-card champion. Like, he's kind of just, he's the Dynamite Diamond ring holder, yeah, but he wasn't champ. And it took a while for Punk to ascend there to their main event, and then injury and brouhaha in the form of Brawl Out delayed that ascension from happening, and actually him having a proper run with the belt as planned. So he was never really, again, presented like a main event person. You know, he was relegated to Collision, having his own show, and even that kind of felt like second rate. You know, it was the afterthought. It was the people that he wanted, not we wanted, or so we did. But you got the point. WWE, they continued to use him like the star that he is. And this continued into the Royal Rumble. He goes ahead and comes out at number 24.
Well, he did have another match with Seth at Monday Night Raw in a steel cage match.
Yeah, but that comes up later on. So you know, we don't want to jump too far ahead. That happens.
Oh, I was thinking that was, you know,
that happens after the Chamber.
When you are
way after the Chamber that happens. So that's way in March.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
so,
I can't. My timetables, guys, are.
We're a month back, February 1st. So at the Rumble, he comes out, he's number 24, and he makes it to the Final Four. But then he gets eliminated by Logan Paul. And he gets into a fight on the outside with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, both of whom.
That was a funny fight.
He eliminated. It was great. Roman gets stomped into oblivion. They beat the hell out of each other, and, you know, it was pretty crazy. So I love how they handled him again here. They used his star power to start a WrestleMania feud. Whether we wanted it or not, this is what we were getting. It was still going to be a Mania main event. He was going to check that off his bucket list finally. So I say, WWE, still giving the best they could with the story that they were headed into. Now we see why it wasn't him and Cody or him and others, with heel Cena coming eventually. I think, again, they're not guilty.
Make here, though.
Do share.
It should have been CM Punk and Seth Rollins in a one-on-one match, and Roman and Drew in a one-on-one match. I think would have made a little more sense. But
probably.
I digress.
And especially with how much Drew hated Roman, yeah.
Yeah, because he said he was going after every member of the Bloodline, and he even confronted the Bloodline 2.0 because
he was the Bloodline hunter, like the Elite Hunter. So, yeah, that is a good point. I mean, it might have worked out better, but I still find them not guilty as far as this goes.
I still do find them not guilty as well, because it was a great match, but we'll get into that later.
I won't call this next part on its own, but it will be taken into evidence. So we get to Elimination Chamber, Toronto. It's in the Dome. Spaz is in the Dome. They put it in the Dome. The Chamber. It's in the Dome. And we go ahead.
It's in the Dome?
It's in the Dome. We go ahead and we get final two of the Chamber. It's Cena. It's Punk. Nostalgia. They hug. They embrace. They beat the hell out of each other. Seth, he's a vengeful bastard, and he goes ahead and he stomps Punk, and Cena takes advantage, puts on the SDF. He prevails while saying, "I'm sorry." And CM Punk loses and passes out, and John Cena wins. And we see what's brewing, because now Cena turns heel, shockingly, with The Rock and Travis Scott, oddly enough, in his corner. So
Fiend.
This all leads to Seth and Punk, because Seth essentially stomped him after he was already eliminated. So they're going to have a steel cage match, as you mentioned earlier, This is the March 10th episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And Punk is about to win when all of a sudden
I went to that Raw, by the way.
You were there for this.
The gun.
Yes, you were there. You got to see the act of revenge as Roman pulls Rollins out of the cage and just beats the hell out of him, getting him back for the Rumble. Then he goes in and he beats the hell out of CM Punk. And you just kind of see Heyman distraught. So eventually these guys continue to brawl, and, things are brewing into a total just series of mayhem as these guys cannot be kept apart without beating the hell out of each other. They all point to the Mania sign on the SmackDown March 21st episode, in fact. And leads to a triple threat, night one, main event of WrestleMania 41. And they go ahead and they have Cult of Personality played by Living Color. Punk is played to the ring. His favor finally granted. Paul Heyman is his advocate for the main event match for night one of WrestleMania 41. Not coming out with Roman. He's in the side of CM Punk. We predicted this. We have shorts. We had prediction roundtables. We did prediction shows all over the place for Mania. We said Seth was going to walk out with Paul Heyman. It was expected at this point after he was put in this position by both Roman and Punk. But I still love how it came to be. The chair is slid in. He goes to hand it to Punk. He low blows Punk. Goes to do the same thing to Roman. He sides with Seth. It's a great main event. Seth wins and goes on to form a new heel group. Later joined by Braun Breaker and the returning Bronson Reed. Knowing that this formed the new Deadly Alliance 2.0 and how this main event spawned into a new heel era on Monday Night Raw, I absolutely, even not in hindsight, but with hindsight, again, say WWE used Punk properly here. He got his main event. He wasn't going to win, but he got to shine. He didn't get beat. He just got outwitted by Heyman because he trusted him. He's going to get his revenge still. We're going to see it happen eventually. But they are not guilty here again, my friend. I'm sorry, it has to be said.
It was a great triple threat match, and it built a great group. So how can you call it guilty at all? Because it's not guilty yet again.
Absolutely. And as we talked about earlier, that gets us to Night of Champions. We have the heel John Cena being confronted. He's in his villain arc, and after losing at Saturday night's main event with Logan Paul, Money in the Bank. They went ahead and you saw CM Punk confront him on the June 9th episode where Jey Uso lost No Yeet to his former adversary Gunther. So Gunther's a new champ, but CM Punk isn't worried about that. He's focused on going to Night of Champions in Saudi. He's going to follow Cena to hell on June 28th. And again, people should argue. They said, it should have been Money in the Bank. And maybe because the rivalry happened so big there, as we discussed on our previous episode.
With the story they're telling, it would have made a lot of sense for it to happen at Money in the Bank, because look at us. We switched roles. I'm trying to save wrestling from you, and you're trying to ruin it and walk out with the title.
Yeah.
So they swapped roles. CM Punk mentioned that. So I think with the storyline going on, yes, it didn't really make sense to happen at Money in the Bank. But they saved it here by Cena being a big heel here and saying, you have to go to the one place you never wanted to go to.
You have to make yourself a hypocrite. So they did save it. But I still find them guilty. I honestly find them guilty in this, because they could have just moved it up ahead of time, had Punk confront him earlier, hold off on the set stuff, because he was away for a little bit, and they could have had this at Money in the Bank. And I think whatever story that they're going to tell at Night of Champions still would have worked out, because then whoever wins there now goes on. But they wanted to have him have his title defense and not defend it at Money in the Bank.
I 100% agree, though. It is guilty.
I think it's guilty.
have CM Punk versus John Cena one final time where it all started.
Yeah, where it all ended, really. Punk left with the title, and as we discussed on previous episodes, we went ahead and said, hey, it really shows that, Into Somewhere rivals the explosive history of John Cena and CM Punk. We went ahead and last time discussed on the channel how their rivalry progressed and where it is and how it is now just gone ahead and been
because of Money in
renewed.
the Bank, why it became the rivalry it did. And, they missed and dropped the ball there. I don't know what they were thinking, but
I agree.
A worthless tag team match.
We did get a worthless tag team match, and I am not a happy man in that regard either, because I see what could have been. I feel like they really, really, really needed to do this at Money in the Bank, not just for nostalgia's sake, but with the story that they're telling. I think it would have helped, honestly. I still say they're guilty for this one. Absolutely, I'm staying with that opinion.
I'll call them guilty as well. I think that's fair, because you can't not have that Money in the Bank, even if you try to course correct and save it. But there's no real saving, because it only made sense at Money in the Bank.
Absolutely. So you and I did a line here, and only 2 guilty verdicts compared to all the non-guilty ones that we threw out. You and my friend Mark might have to stop watching, but going from CM Punk's amazing pop and epic return at Survivor Series 2023, then we go all the way into, now Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia. I say WWE has done, and the Paul Levesque era has done a great, stellar, and amazing job with CM Punk, making them totally guilt-free in this scenario.
I 100% you, and I think CM Punk and WWE and the whole storylines and the build and everything since he's been back is guilt-free.
Oh, absolutely. So double there, my friend. Any final statements before we go ahead and close this case?
No, not really. Maybe just I'll reiterate that CM Punk versus John Cena should have happened at Money in the Bank.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, we do have other episodes to be excited for besides the Night of Champion review to come. That's right, we're going to have another Into Somewhere Rivals.
And I'll give WWE this real quick.
Yes.
I think CM Punk is saving John Cena's heel turn a little bit, because this is the most interesting John Cena's heel turn has been with R-Truth and CM Punk.
Yeah, this has been the only bit of intrigue. We didn't really discuss R-Truth, and him being fired from WWE, I got into, and then he made it back, surprisingly, and they realized they made a mistake, so glad to see him return. The next Into Somewhere Rivals, we're going to be discussing, as you suggested, The Undertaker and Kane. The history there between their epic rivalry, brothers set ablaze. So make sure you go ahead and set your notifications on to keep your eyes out for that one. We'll be live, as always, for the Raw and NXT reviews.
On fire.
Yes, indeed. Cody, tell the nice people where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me over on my Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it nowadays, at Judgment Day Era, and you can find me over on my Instagram at Cody_Onidi_316, and I might start again on my YouTube channel with gaming at Judgment Day Era as well.
Excellent. They can find all of those links in the description box down below. You can find me on Twitter/X, Instagram, on Rumble at Countdown Ended, or you can find me on YouTube, Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco, or wherever podcasts are found. Thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of Guilty or Guilt Free. We'll see you all hopefully live soon. Make sure you hit that like button. And as always, stay sexy.